Please do your best to find a seat as soon as possible, if you will. Thank you very much. Welcome. Welcome. On behalf of the local organizing committee, comprised of its members from each of the I.S.P.O. national member societies of the Netherlands, Norway, the United Kingdom, and Sweden, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this, the 20th I.S.P.O. International World Congress in Stockholm. The local organizing committee, with each of its members, has worked together with the other standing committees and has, as one of its roles, to ensure the Congress theme is present in all aspects to the greatest extent throughout the entire Congress. We hope that as participants, you will see this as the week progresses. Science in practice, practice in science, collaboration and innovation towards sustainable rehabilitation. This was chosen as a theme as it reflects some common underpinnings of the challenges that have been faced and will continue to face the prosthetics and orthotics field in the coming years. There is an increasing demand for equitable access to sustainably produced and appropriate assistive technology. Irrespective of where each of us comes from, this is a common theme that unites us. We hope the Congress contributes to a greater understanding and potentially has a positive impact on these challenges faced by users of prostheses, orthoses, and mobility assistive technologies well after this Congress is finished. That you, as individuals, have chosen to travel to Stockholm, this is an indication of your commitment to prosthetics and orthotics, and we are grateful to share this time with you and look forward to the developments we can accomplish during this week. Stockholm is a wonderful city, and we are sure that you will be able to find something special to remember it by. Its many islands, its proximity to water and forest, it make it a very special city. Please take the opportunity to explore it outside of the Congress program. It's also a great pleasure to know that the timing of the Congress falls during the week of Midsummer, with its largest celebrations occurring on Midsummer Eve, this Friday. Midsummer is an incredibly important tradition in Sweden, with a popularity rivaling the other national holidays. It is steeped in tradition and is an important opportunity to gather with friends and family. Fitting that we are all here at the same time. Many look forward to this celebration all year long, and given it is the longest day of the year, or one of the longest days of the year, it's a pleasure to know that you have so much time to enjoy it. With this, we wish to close by thanking each of you personally for engaging collaboratively at this event, united within the prosthetics and orthotics field, with such diverse backgrounds to improve outcomes for users globally. Once again, on behalf of the local organizing committee and the countless individuals who have contributed in so many ways to the organization of this Congress, welcome to Stockholm. We will now welcome the dance group Folkdansensemble Kedjan, which translates to the chain, to provide us with a traditional dance. A little bit of description, you will notice that they are all wearing individual uniforms or costumes. Kyrkdräkter translates to parish costumes. They each represent a different region in Sweden. And the association, which is being with us today, has been around for over 100 years. The other symbol, which may be also very present to you on the stage, is the maypole behind them. This is an important symbol. It's decorated with flowers, often birch, and it's the raising of this symbol is incredibly important as a symbol for Midsummer. Welcome.
Thank you. That's not the last we'll be seeing them, so you'll be able to enjoy some more. You can really see me here. My name is David Constantine, and somehow I got invited to be the president of I.S.P.O for the last 2 years. It's actually more of a 7-year commitment, but it has been a real honor to be part of this organization and to have led it for the last 2 years and being part of it. It's something that my career have interacted since 2001 with I.S.P.O and realized how important it was for the sector of healthcare. So I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you for coming all the way to Stockholm from far and wide. Easy for us Europeans, but not so easy for the people from the States and Asia and further. So we're really honored that you've come, especially all the different trade shows have set up. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to our sponsors. So our diamond sponsor, always an amazing sponsor, Otto, who have brought wheelchairs onto their stand this year, I'm really pleased to say. And we have a more diverse, if you like, show this time, because we've got the bit that I.S.P.O is known for are prosthetics and orthotics. But our narrative is that it's prosthetics, orthotics, wheelchairs, and other mobility devices. And so the sponsorship of a company like Otto is really important because they do a very wide range of all those things. So thank you to Otto. Then in our silver sponsorship category, we've got Instalim, who are new to I.S.P.O, and we're delighted that they've taken a step forward and offered to sponsor part of the Congress, and hopefully will continue to do so. And then our bronze sponsor is Flower. And thank you very much. They're very regular sponsors. So without our sponsors, this would be not easy to do financially. And I think I just should go back and mention the main raison d'etre of I.S.P.O is it's very easy to go down the trade show and think it's all about the design, the engineering, the electronics, the science behind all those amazing pieces of technology you'll see later on. But it's really important to think about why I.S.P.O has to and needs to exist. It's about the people that we serve. And that is part of the multidisciplinary, rehabilitation-focused process that everybody needs to go through to be able to be fitted or provided with the right piece of technology that they need as they acquire a disability or born with a disability or any impairment of any kind, or acquire it in later life. And I'm sure all of you, as we age, day by day, are starting to notice that you need more things. A phone, contact lenses, glasses, hearing aids, walking sticks. And you may not count yourself disabled, but you will need these things. And I.S.P.O is a really key place to come and learn and share and exchange about how best to provide those products in your countries. And so it is very appropriate that we've managed to secure the time of the Minister of Healthcare of Sweden, Acko Ankerberg, and I'd like to welcome you up on stage. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that all of you is here in Stockholm and Sweden. I really hope that we can offer you the best weather when you have left the conference. Because I think you have a little bit rainy weather just entering the conference, and that was just because we want you to be inside. And the good weather is after the conference. And I'm really glad to be here because here we have patient representatives, we have innovators, we have healthcare providers, we have people driving companies, the whole scope of people that is needed to create the best for people. So I'm very glad that you are visiting Sweden and that you have this conference in order to give hope to people, to patients and their loved ones. Your work is not just about medical devices or therapies. It is about bringing health and enhancing well-being to patients. It is about giving independence and hope to those affected by various challenges. And I am happy to see attendance from the entire field, from patients and relatives, healthcare workers, research, and those who will make products available to patients everywhere, like the industry. The combined efforts of all the participants here today are the starting point for getting new and innovative products and services in place for the future. There are several aspects to ensuring continued innovation and providing the best care possible. Your field is an integral part of the life science sector. Sweden has a proud history of research and development in life sciences, and I'm proud that we are ranked among the top innovation countries in the world. And the Swedish government will continue to work for a strong position in life science. A part of the government's continued work to ensure effective collaboration between parties in the life science sector, the government has recently launched an updated national life science strategy. And the strategy serves as a long-term framework that includes goals encouraging efforts at local, regional, and national levels to strengthen competitiveness, business development, and social resilience. The goal of the strategy is to put the patient in the center, with an emphasis on clinical trials, national digital infrastructure, medical devices, and precision health or precision medicine. And your work focuses on the whole area, but maybe on the scope of medical devices more specifically. All medical devices used on patients must be secure for the intended use. And we have an extensive common EU regulation for this purpose in this part of the world. However, the constant and rapid development in the life science area requires an ability to continuously review the regulatory framework. And the current EU regulation does not live up to this, and Sweden therefore welcomes the Commission's evaluation process. The framework and the regulatory system for this called MDR and IVDR, they need to be a clear and efficient governance, having a clear and efficient governance structure. And there is a lack of predictability in the certification process with regards to requirements, timelines, and costs. The fees applicable to different actors in the conformity assessment process should be transparent and preferable based on a harmonized structure. This is important for us in the EU, and I think this is also a part of what is important for the rest of the world. You need a framework that is predictable and transparent. Lastly, the administrative burden must be reduced while preserving patient safety. The development within life science and healthcare is not only important to provide the best possible care, but also to further the area to find new and better ways of treatment. Patients are and should always be the center of this development. A patient-centered approach is important to ensure effective solutions that enhance the patient's quality of life. As you all know, there is rarely a one-size-fits-all solution, which underscores the importance of acknowledging the patient's individual needs. Innovations and development are essential to find new products and services. However, this demands investments, both in the actual research, but also in the scale-up production. We have different tools and approaches. Public funding can support early-stage research, while private investments can drive commercialization and scalability. It is important to ensure that products are manufactured for the good of the patients. Therefore, implementation of innovations into healthcare is crucial. When healthcare incorporates the innovations and start using these innovations, we will be able to enhance patient care. All work within the life science sector is facilitated by cooperation and collaboration. Both research, production, and use of products in healthcare will benefit from collaboration between all actors within this sector. In Sweden, we can proudly say that a great part of our success within the life science sector can be attributed to collaboration between parties within the sector. One example of successful collaboration are public-private partnership. When the industry cooperates on a practical level with academia and healthcare, synergies emerge. The development and collaboration within the sector, as well as cross-sectorial collaboration, will prove to be useful. The technical evolution in all sectors should be the foundation for development also in the healthcare sector. Together, we can drive innovation that leads to more effective, affordable, and accessible solutions. Lastly, I would like to underscore the importance of global cooperation, especially in the light of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Innovation and exchange of knowledge does not know borders, which is something the ongoing war of aggression has showed. The horrendous effects of the full-scale invasion has created a dire need for advanced orthotic and prosthetic solutions, as well as comprehensive rehabilitation services in Ukraine. In times of need, one cannot always rely on the familiar. Innovation and creativity become essential. And we have been able to help Ukraine and share our resource and knowledge, and this relationship is mutually beneficial. Ukraine now holds the latest knowledge and experiences, something we all can benefit from. In conclusion, the fields of orthotics, prosthetics, rehabilitation, and habilitation hold the promise of a better future for many. You give hope to so many patients, and the situation in Ukraine is a strong reminder of the need of power of global cooperation. And we live in challenging times, and this need for global cooperation is needed in Ukraine, but also in the Middle East, in Sudan, and other places around the world. So we must make a good foundation for collaboration and cooperation all over the world, both in terms of helping the patients receive the needed treatment, but also regard to innovation and knowledge. I wish you all fruitful conference with new ideas and opportunities for new collaborations and for a better and more inclusive tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I can't think of a more appropriate way and subject to open an I.S.P.O. Congress on. So thank you for taking the time to come in what is no doubt a very busy week, every week for a minister. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is introduce you to Corrie, who is the chair of our Programme Scientific Committee. And I.S.P.O. run these congresses every 2 years, and it is all about the science and practice of provision of assistive devices, particularly focused on prosthetics and orthotics. And so we set a high bar as to when you can present a paper to the I.S.P.O. Congress. And Corrie and her committee have worked very hard, sifting through I think a record number of abstracts that came in October. So, Corrie.
Thank you, David. So good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Scientific Program Committee, I would like to say hello and welcome to all of you. We have a lot to offer in our program. We have 4 keynote speakers. On Tuesday, Chapal Kasnabis will tell you something about sustainability in prosthetics and orthotics. On Wednesday, Silvestre Macheri will tell about innovations in upper limb prosthetics, and Paula Ruston will tell about sustainability in wheelchair education. Han Houdijk on Thursday will speak about lower limb prosthetics, gait analysis from a human movement perspective. And as you may notice, we have one extra keynote speaker compared to previous conferences, and this is to make the program even more attractive. Furthermore, we have 41 symposia, 55 free paper sessions with a lot of presentations, as you can see, 194 posters, and we introduced 142 poster pitches. Finally, we have 11 basic and 8 advanced instructional courses. And, as David already said, we had a record number of submissions, so we hope we have composed a very attractive and inspiring program for you. But there are also some innovations this year. Prior to the Congress, we established a mentorship program to support young and early career professionals. We also organized 2 webinars, one on mastering the art of writing a scientific abstract, and one on how to deliver an engaging presentation given by Jaap van Netten and Michael Dillon. And these webinars have been visited by a lot of people and were appreciated highly. We organized this morning a meeting for young professionals to support them further, and I must say it was visited by far more people than we expected, so this was a huge success. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we will organize 3-minute thesis competitions for students. There they will present their work using one slide in 3 minutes. And I hope to see you all there to support them. What's also new is that we integrated poster pitches into free paper sessions. You can find these sessions in your program if you look at the abbreviations, FPS for free paper sessions, followed by poster pitches. And you can have a look at the posters subsequently in the following breaks. The final innovation is that we introduce now prize nominee sessions. There are 5 prizes that can be won, and the nominees will present their work during these sessions. Advancing clinical treatment is a prize, advancing P&O, sustainability, as it is the theme of the conference. There will be a prize for the best 3MT student presentation and for the best poster. These prizes will be handed over during the closing ceremony on Thursday, so I would again like to see you all there. So as you can see, there's a lot to see, a lot to do, and I would therefore like you to have an inspiring networking activity and also an inspiring scientific experience.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you very much, Corey. The committee, as do all our committees, and we have quite a few committees, making all this happen, because everybody who is in the senior sort of the board and the committees are all voluntary. There is no payment involved in I.S.P.O. apart from some secretariat help. And so there's a lot of commitment that goes on above and beyond everybody's day job. And so that, you can see there what gets put into this to make all this happen starting today. And for the first time, the I.S.P.O. Congress, so I'd like to introduce Brad Mateer, and we've come up with the idea, introduced for the first time, of a technical track series of sessions. And I think the best way I heard it described, I think by Eric, your vice chair, was come and learn today what you will use at work tomorrow. So we can go to a lot of the scientific and the theory sessions, but the technical track is about practice, getting your hands dirty, getting your hands on. And many people go into P&O because they want that mix of medical and hands-on with the user face-to-face. And that's a really important part of why people become prosthetists, orthotists, physios, OTs. And so, Brad.
Thank you.
Please, Dwayne.
Thank you, David. Good morning, esteemed colleagues, partners, and friends. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to the 20th I.S.P.O. World Congress and to formally open what is, for the first time in I.S.P.O.'s history, a fully dedicated technical program. This program represents a significant shift in how we recognize the critical work done behind the curtain. For decades, I.S.P.O. has advanced clinical research, user-centered care, and global education collaboration. But today, we turn our attention to a new frontier, the fabrication arts. This isn't just about machines and materials. It's about the craft, ingenuity, and integrity that drives our profession forward. The work done in fabrication labs and workshops around the world, the shaping, the forming, the aligning, the adapting, is what truly transforms a design into a device, and a device into an extension of someone's life. Fabrication is not an afterthought. It is the heartbeat of functionality, the bridge between a diagnosis and dignity, the difference between theory and true wearable independence. Let me say this clearly. Fabrication is not just a trade. It is a true art form. And it deserves to be studied, respected, celebrated, and most importantly, advanced. In this program, we'll explore advanced manufacturing techniques, digital workflows, material science, sustainability, safety, and the evolving role of the technician in a rapidly modernizing world. But just as importantly, we'll foster conversations about mentorship, legacy, and passing down hands-on knowledge that no machine can replicate. To the technicians, the meisters, the fabricating clinicians that are here today, this is your time. It's your work just doesn't support patient care. It enables it. The future, one device at a time, and today we give that work the platform it has long deserved. To the I.S.P.O. leadership, thank you for believing in this vision and giving technical professionals this global stage. And to all the attendees, whether you're presenting, learning, or simply listening, I encourage you to absorb the question, collaborate, and carry this energy forward. Let this be the beginning of a new tradition where the fabrication arts stand proudly besides our clinical innovation, research, and policy as pillars of global progress in O&P. Now, let's get to work, let's celebrate the makers, and I look forward to seeing each of you at the technical track. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much, Brad. This is a really exciting new innovation for I.S.P.O, and I think it's long overdue, and really, really important. So we're going to have a bit more dancing, and then I'll introduce the next part, very special part of the opening ceremony. Now we come to the real nub of what I.S.P.O is about. Our founder, Knud Jensen, created the organization in Denmark in 1970 as a multidisciplinary approach organization focusing on the rehabilitation processes for people in need of mobility devices and anything else they might need in their life as well. And I.S.P.O created the Knud Jensen Memorial Lecture in his honor, and we still carry this out every biennium. And I found out that it's the president's gift to be able to invite the person to give the Knud Jensen lecture. And I know what this feels like because I was rung up by a president 6 years ago. Said, "Would you present the Knud Jensen lecture?" I nearly fell out of my chair for a start, and I felt that's the sort of the highest honor I.S.P.O can gift you. And I then spent about a year worrying about it and practicing it. So I know exactly how Ritu feels right now. Sorry to put you through that, Ritu. Ritu and I have known each other for over 20 years because the organization I worked for, creating wheelchairs in low-income countries, and her organization, Mobility India, have partnered and collaborated, but they have also importantly collaborated with a huge number of international partners, including I.S.P.O, hosted congresses, really important meetings, and they've turned themselves from a really grassroots organization based in Bangalore to one of the foremost institutions of education and provision in India. And Ritu is the academic and technical director of that organization. And they have always, from my own experience, been an absolute pleasure to collaborate with and really good at what they do. So I'm really honored to invite Ritu Ghosh to be the Knud Jensen lecturer.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. God morgon, Stockholm. I'm truly honored to stand before you. It is both humbling and inspiring to be a part of this tradition and at this gathering today. I'm deeply grateful to the President and the Executive Board of I.S.P.O for inviting me to share my experiences in this distinguished forum. Okay. So today, I share my story and experiences as a testimony to showcase the impact we as a community could create in the lives of persons with disabilities having little awareness, access, or resources at their disposal. I will talk about the organization Mobility India, where I work, and my journey, how we took small steps strategically over decades to serve people better as we went along. Today, I reflect on the path that has brought me here, a journey shaped by uncertainty, curiosity, challenges, and the unwavering support of my parents, family, mentors, friends, and colleagues. My encounter with rehabilitation began as piano student 33 years ago in India. I grew up in Ranchi, Jharkhand, where I saw gender discrimination against girls, women at every stage of life, though I was fortunate not to face it myself. I was fortunate my parents supported me to complete my studies, participate in sports, arts, public spaces, and so on, at a time when most of the girls were expected to get married as their life goal. My parents encouraged me in the piano field despite it being an unfamiliar career option for women. Next slide, please. Choosing the piano field was blessing, though not an easy path. I studied at a national institute under the Ministry of Social Justice in India, one of the main developer of the national workforce in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and prosthetics and orthotics. While other courses had gender balance, I was the only woman in the batch among 11 students in the piano program. It felt like the system thinking aloud. What is young women doing here? With minimal scope of interaction in the first few months, I felt cut off from the normal flow of academic information. Was I even visible in the group of men? During the practical session, my instructor focused mainly on teaching the male students. I would continue to stand, observe, and wait for my turn. Piano was seen as a man's domain, and many assumed, anyway, I might eventually discontinue the course. Faced with silent resistance, I had two choices: either leave the course or continue. I came with my parents' dream and my dream to become somebody, but I was turning out to be a nobody. I decided not to stay that way. I shared my struggle with the head of piano department. He asked the solution. I answered, make me the class leader. And that was a turning point. As a class leader, I handled all communication and connected with the teachers, including guest faculty. Although my voice began to be heard and valued, I also had to prove myself as a clinician in making and demonstrate that to everyone, every day, every time. Soon, my teachers began to appreciate me, and in time, I started engaging freely with my classmates and students from other disciplines. It was also here that I met my future husband, a knowledgeable, capable professional, a patient, and supportive partner in my life journey. On the other hand, my college hostel roommates were women with disabilities and students from less developed parts of India. Reflecting back, I am fortunate to have learned from the first hand of the compounded challenges they faced being both disabled and female. I realized that support for women begins at home. Empowerment starts when parents treat daughters equally to sons. Further, meaningful inclusion is defined by quality of women experiences across different levels, not just by access or representation. How women are treated and supported truly defines inclusion. Rehabilitation services and access to assistive technology were almost non-existent in the rural areas in India as recently as 3 decades ago. But this scenario began to change. In the early 90s, Action on Disability and Development, UK-based charity, set up Ad India to empower persons with disability and build leadership. They soon realized that empowerment without rehabilitation services meant little, especially in the villages with the huge unmet needs. Few years later, 1994, Mobility India, MI, an Indian NGO, was founded based on the evidence and the feasibility studies, ensuring that its objective aligned with the actual needs of the population and the contextual realities of prosthetics and orthotic service delivery. The founder executive director of Mobility India was my former department head in the piano school, invited me to join MI. I gladly joined MI in 1996 as a clinician, knowing his inclusive philosophy, leadership, and inclusion. At that time, it was rare to see women in this field, especially in such roles. What a responsibility and what a mismatch. Yet for me, it was a beginning. A beginning not just as a professional, but as a woman choosing to lead in the space where over 90% were men. Joining Mobility India was one of the best things that happened to me. I was a part of a small team and had daily challenges to meet, but also the freedom to take decisions and be responsible for both successes and failures. It was here that I honed my skills as a clinician, educator, and later also a management professional. My professional life has been deeply intertwined with that of my organization from 3 decades. Permit me, therefore, to cite a few examples of key projects to demonstrate how MI navigated the challenges to transform the lives of persons with disabilities, in particular women. Since inception, MI started working with the Since inception, MI started working in the rural NGO in South India, providing technical support in prosthetics and orthotics through training on fabricating various assistive devices. I realized how few women and girls came for rehab services. MI had to expand its services to meet the increasing diversity of needs. My perspective on gender began to inform our work. I took active role in spreading awareness on the need and the benefits of prosthetics and orthotics and other devices among user and stakeholder were major objectives of our activities. Mobile prosthetics and orthotics care program was integral of the initiative and assisted in the last mile connectivity. I gained not only greater confidence, but more importantly, professional respect of acceptance as a woman in the field. This journey also helped me to truly understand the meaning and the value of mentorship in professional growth, both as a recipient and eventually as a mentor myself. Let me now share something about RAWWD, another important aspect of my journey and our preference for serving women. In deeply traditional and patriarchal society in many parts of India, women in general encounter significant barriers in accessing adequate housing, health, education, vocational training, and employment, face larger exploitation and gender-based violence and discrimination. I found that intimate nature of our role often discourages women with disability from seeking assistive devices rehabilitation services. Many girls with disability did not attend school or vocational training, and leaving them unable to support themselves financially and remaining dependent. Mobility India established rehabilitation aid workshop by women with disabilities in 1997, aimed at training 10 women with disability from urban slums as orthotic technicians and thereby establishing their capacity to earn a livelihood, bring back self-esteem, create future mentors and role models. I lived with these girls in the slums for 18 months, have to direct experience of their day-to-day life challenges, learning experiences, and their coping mechanism. Apart from rehabilitating them and also guided their technical training, they equally needed life skills beyond technical training, to communicate, to move, to deal, being independent, and for social integration. And help breaking stereotypes and leading changes. In 1997, we started what is believed to be the world's first piano clinic run by women with disabilities. They have been operating for 28 years and independently from 25 years. As a founder treasurer, I mentored the team for 14 years. The women gained skills, independence, and social acceptance. Of the 21 trained, 80% are now married with families, leading fulfilling personal and professional lives. They have served over 50,000 people, and 42% of them are women. Another all-women enterprise started 23 years back by MI that makes the famous low-cost Jaipur technology prosthetic foot. This is one of the most accessible and modern production center managed exclusively by women with disabilities. The project has provided a livelihood to 10 such women so far. It has created a model of an inclusive environment with appropriate infrastructure and equipment for the women to work. From users to makers. Supplied 50,000 feet across 19 countries, with units serving also as a research lab, truly leading by example. I will now share about Mobility India's Center, our hub for rehabilitation, research, learning, and inclusion. Next chapter of my life journey. In 1998, our grassroots network partners emphasized the urgent need for formally trained personnel in the field of rehabilitation. In response, Mobility India initiated the development of a dedicated rehabilitation research and training center. I played a significant role in its setup. What is particularly noteworthy is the building was designed with accessibility in mind, well before local regulations made such features mandatory. Looking back, I reflect how furniture's layout throughout the center has been customized to promote greater independence for users. This center serves as a model for inclusive design and rehabilitation, inspiring similar efforts nationally and in other regions to build accessible environment for persons with disability. Now, let's watch video on what we do currently.
Mobility India provides rehabilitation for all who need it. The unmet need for rehabilitation is addressed through appropriate therapy and innovative technology, imparting professional education to deliver quality care. Therapy and assistive devices are provided at the local community, in schools and public health centers, thereby enabling conducive and an inclusive learning environment. Appropriate interventions help in leading a healthy and an independent life and assist the children in attending school and recreational activities, and of course, bringing social change and improving quality of life.
The next chapter of my life, bridging local context with formal training, local drivers, global support, and regional impact. Our first association with I.S.P.O. began in 1997 and is still going strong. a short course on lower limb prosthetic was organized in Jaipur as a part of a national professional development program. It has been a truly rewarding experience for me and for Mobility India to work with I.S.P.O for nearly 28 years. This long partnership has greatly helped us grow and improve our prosthetic orthotic program. We began formal training in 2002 with the focus on single discipline, lower limb prosthetics, and orthotics and rehabilitation therapy assistance, aiming to build a skilled P&O and mid-level therapy workforce for the region. To ensure a relevant curriculum for primary level service delivery, we collaborated with INGOs like VSO and HI and received teachers training to launch the program. We evaluated the training program with support from external consultant, visiting graduates in the field that time, speaking with their supervisors, and conducting semi-structured interviews. Based on this feedback, we revised the curriculum in 2003. I led continued evaluation in 2004 and 2005. I engaged sponsoring organizations in Asia and Africa to keep the process cost-effective and used field data and insight to further adapt the curriculum and continuously strengthen the program. We began receiving students from South Asia, Africa, and Middle East. Here, ICRC played a key role not only in getting the workforce trained for their partner projects, but also in gradually supporting MI to build our resources step by step. At the 12th I.S.P.O World Congress in 2007, I was invited by USAID and I.S.P.O to share MI's graduate follow-up approach in Asia and Africa. In 2009, they invited me to join the task force for Nepal outcome study, where a similar approach was applied with the addition of interviewing the user our graduate worked with. This has further led to a series of impact assessment studies by I.S.P.O. This hands-on, reflective process strengthened our program and shaped me as an educator to lead meaningful change. Our first major milestone came in 2007 when we received international recognition. Mr. Dan Blocker met senior officials of Rehabilitation Council of India in 2007 and continued to explore the complexities of a P&O education sector in India. Participating in and contributing to the I.S.P.O Strategic Planning Workshop in El Salvador in 2008, and educators meeting at the Toronto Seminar 2009, and other so many series of activities impressed me the I.S.P.O active role and committed members in supporting and improving education standards worldwide. These experiences further strengthened my skills and inspired me to become a passionate educator. By 2010, with I.S.P.O support, we reviewed the BPO curriculum. As an RCI P&O expert member, I helped integrate I.S.P.O's work into the national curriculum, focusing on clinical practice and evidence-based approaches. We steadily improved the program. After further consultation in 2015 and 2021, we finally received I.S.P.O recognition for BPO program. I was again amazed how passionate the I.S.P.O global community members support. This journey is a discovery of how international collaboration, when grounded in local realities, can drive long-term impact. I am deeply grateful to I.S.P.O, former President Mr. Sepp Heim, former President Dan Blocker, and Dr. Steen Jensen for being consistent and supportive partner in this transformation. To further strengthen academic research and align with the national framework, we started a master program in 2020, the first in the southern region of India. In recent development, I was instrumental in introducing and getting the first PhD program in prosthetics and orthotics recognized by Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Karnataka, making a national milestone. Overall, our graduates now represent in the diversity of over 40 countries across globe. To highlight, 42 graduates are from Yemen, including 13 women. It took 8 years of ICRC and MI efforts to initiate building a female P&O workforce. It is encouraging to see more women participation. However, the evidence calls for more investment and targeted efforts to ensure women and persons with disabilities are encouraged to join P&O workforce. As a student, I often saw wheelchairs, but didn't know and understand clearly what they mean to user. The perception changed when my college roommate with disability called me, and she informed after giving birth, she couldn't move around, hold her baby, or feed her. She couldn't use her KFO and crutches. We provided her with a wheelchair and a toilet chair. It was my first insight to the user and wheelchair relationship and the daily living needs. The wheelchair you see in the image was already 13 years old when I met Tika. On the ground, there was a huge gap. Another chapter of my life journey, I will share now key glimpses of the journey in advancing wheelchair field. This slides marks a very important turning point for me and for Mobility India. It was the first time I was formally introduced to professional training in wheelchair service provision. Thanks to David Constantine and the motivation team of that time. This insight led the foundation of how I began integrating wheelchair services into MI's clinical service delivery across all tiers, and also into our training program. In 2006, we integrated wheelchair education in MI's curricula. By 2010, it became part of a national bachelor's program in prosthetics and orthotics. And in 2006, I began collaborating as a part of a WHO working group on wheelchair service provision. We hosted the I.S.P.O Consensus Conference on Wheelchairs of Developing Countries in 2006, and later the Global Wheelchair Stakeholders Meeting in 2018. These guidelines and training packages are still valuable tools to motivate stakeholders toward a formal approach to service provision and training. We realized that many stakeholders were still not keen on developing their workforce, and to address this, we began engaging with several universities across India. Conducted Pan-India campaign, we were successfully in integrating wheelchair content into PT and OT curriculum of 3 universities in India. Was also instrumental in developing local cadres of trainers in basic level wheelchair service provision in Jordan and Lebanon. MI set up wheelchair lab aligned with ISO testing standards, enabling local manufacturers and designers to access testing services at Mobility India. Wheelchair service provision has grown, but the demand for intermediate level services is rising. People need more customized solutions with follow-up support. Providers need more affordable and more options for appropriate products. We are now seeing more local manufacturers, specialized service providers, and innovative efforts to include people with disabilities. In this context, Create Conference brought together users and stakeholders, creating a platform for shared vision, collaboration, and innovation. Education in wheelchairs at all levels must be strengthened, including engagement with governments. We must continue improving training personnel, products, services, and follow-up, always keeping people's need at the center. Two years ago, Lakshmi was given wheelchair by a trained personnel assessing her needs carefully. Since then, she has been moving around her community. Playing with other children and joining in the joy of life. It brought real happiness and a smile that says it all. Common modes of transports are two-wheelers and auto rickshaw, but carrying a foldable wheelchair on them is often difficult or simply not possible. Storing the wheelchair at relatives' house also becomes a burden. These were the concerns raised by her parents. I didn't have the answer. I asked them what they think can be done. Mother answered, "What if we had a foldable wheelchairs that fits into a trolley bag, just like how we carry clothes or other essential? Portable, easy to carry, and dignified. Do we have a solution to offer to Lakshmi's parents and many others?" I would like to conclude my presentation by stating that prioritize inclusive environment, help break gender barriers, create conversion models of inclusions in society, transform lives through mentorship. Mentorship has changed my life. And by addressing these three pillars of systemic change, holistic societal models, and personal empowerment, that collectively drives inclusive policies and meaningful and sustainable change on the ground. With gratitude, thank you to all my great colleagues, mentors, and friends who have been there with me at all times, network partners within India and across for trusting me and my organization, and our users and their families for sharing their lived experiences and being patient with technology developments. Thank you again, President David Constantine, past President Claude Tardif, President-elect Sandra, I.S.P.O Executive Board members, World Congress Committee members, and local chairs, and all organizers. Mr. Chapel Khashnabis, my first head of the P&O department and my first director, and you all, the audience, for your patience and kind attention. Last but not the least, thank you, Stockholm, for giving me a lifetime memory to cherish. Wish you all a fantastic, inspiring, and memorable 28th World Congress of the I.S.P.O. Thank you.
You made me really emotional. Thank you so much, Ritu. That was incredible, and it just is a really humbling reminder of the importance of collaboration, partnership, looking out beyond your own organization to a wider sector, and the benefits that can reap, not only for your own organization, but for the sector as a whole, and the beneficiaries, really importantly. So, and MI has been a perfect example of that. I should also say that your collaboration with my organisation was not just me, it was Richard Frost and all the other team members. So a big group of us. But I have something for you here to say thank you for all the pressure I've put you under for the last 9 months, which is a certificate to say that you've given this lecture, if you'd like to take that, and an I.S.P.O medal to say thank you, to remember today by. Take that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rita. Thank you. We have a very important relationship at I.S.P.O of IC2A, which is a federation of users groups, because it'd be very easy for I.S.P.O just to focus on the technology, the science, and the profession, and the making of prosthetics and orthotics, and forgetting what it's all for. And so this collaboration with IC2A has been strengthened over the last almost 10 years now or more, where we not only have a Nud Jansen lecture, but we have the IC2A lecture. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Christopher Linder, who has been chosen this year to give a lecture. I won't say any more about him because he'll tell you his incredible journey himself better than I will. Thank you very much, Christopher.
Thank you very much, David. First of all, I want to thank IC2A and the I.S.P.O committee for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. So now I really hope they're not getting cold feet about this, because at this point it's a little bit late for them to change their minds. With this inspirational lecture, I want to inspire your passion and determination to take those so-called impossible prosthetic fitting cases and transform them into stories of amputees thriving in life. This won't be easy. It takes time, effort, and innovation. I know this firsthand. Remember, I had to develop my own prosthetic foot to make it happen. But here's the thing. We can do better. Together, we have the power to help more amputees become full-time prosthetic users, unlocking their full potential. And with that, let's begin this session. Unfortunately, this story has a dark and painful beginning, at least for me. It's 14th of July, 2006, I'm 17 years old, and I'm walking home when I'm realizing that I'm being followed by 3 men. I run faster and faster until I finally outran them. But in doing so, I'm crossing some train tracks. And in a single devastating second, my life is forever changed. That night, I fall onto the tracks. A cargo train is the first to arrive. I lose both my legs above the knee and my left arm above the elbow. But how did I even survive this? 3 main arteria were cut off. Help didn't arrive until 30 minutes later. The odds, they were impossibly small. But sometimes it's the tiniest margins that makes all the difference. For example, that summer night was unusually cold, which, let's be honest, isn't that rare here in Sweden. First people on the sites were 3 police officers providing flawless, life-saving first aid. Years of competitive swimming had given me a strong heart, which was one of the key factors in my survival. And finally, I received outstanding intensive care at the hospital, and I'm today so thankful for the Swedish healthcare system. It took a series of near miracles to keep me alive. But you know what? Here I am. Once I was stable, I spent another month at the hospital and additional 4 months in rehabilitation. During those early days, many people felt sorry for me. They told me my life will never be the same again. And sure, I had some incredible tough days where only the morphine could bring me the comfort that I needed. But here's the thing, I will never appreciate pity. Instead of breaking me, their words fueled something within me to prove a determination, to prove them wrong, to show through action that I would return to school, that I would learn to walk again, that I would build a good life, a new life, but different. So I made a decision. From that moment on, I will never look back. What had happened has already happened. I can't change that. What I can change is my own future. And that mindset, well, it's the reason I'm standing here today, talking to all of you. Okay, back to my hospital bed. I'm lying there, and I had no idea how I was going to rebuild my life. And that's when I experienced firsthand the incredible importance of peer support. Today, I'm convinced without peer support, the journey to rehabilitation and acceptance takes far longer. My peer support did not come from a person at the hospital. Mine came from a VHS tape. Anyone remember those? And for all of you younger folks out there, yes, we actually had to record TV shows back then. At that moment, I didn't even know if it was possible to walk as a bilateral transfemoral amputee. But lying there in my hospital bed, I watched this VHS tape of Cameron Clapp, and it completely changed my perception of life with prosthetics. Because suddenly I saw proof that it had been done before. And that's the key thing, because so many newly amputated individuals, they have no idea what's possible. I had no idea. That's why you, as prosthetists, organizations like I.S.P.O and I.S.P.O and local amputee associations have a responsibility to share this knowledge and to provide this support and to show every new amputee it is possible. And yes, you can do it. After watching that VHS tape of Cameron Clapp, I was more eager than ever to get back, not just to life, but also to the pool and to swimming. And finally, the day came. My stumps, they were finally healed, and I was approved to go into the water. Excitement filled me this day. How would it feel? Would I float? Will I be in balance? As I sat there in my wheelchair, the lifeguard walked up to me and grinned. "You know, kid," he said, "the lift, it's broken today. So if you want to swim, you need to dive in." "Dive?" I said. I was not even sure if I will float or sink. But I took a deep breath, and somehow I jumped. And as I sank towards the bottom of this deep pool, one thought crossed my mind. At least I can still hold my breath for a while. Eventually, I dared to take the first stroke in the water. And that feeling, well, it was breathtaking, literally. As I broke the surface, weightless in water, I put my head down and I'm starting swimming freestyle. And in that first hour, I swam through all the 4 different swim courses. The techniques were still there, buried within my muscle memory from all years of competitive swimming. And when I got out from the pool, the same lifeguard walked up to me, and this time he said, "Paralympics, next stop for you." And well, he was right. Swimming became my way back, my way to reclaim my life. Because for me and for my own well-being, I needed to go from being a victim to contributing to society once again. That was important to me. And my competitive swimming became my first tool in doing so. But after 6 years on the world stage of competitive adaptive swimming, 2 Paralympic Games, I finally felt like my life was now back on track. I had accomplished every goal I set out for myself after the accident. All but one. I still wasn't satisfied with my prosthetic walking. So I reached out to Kevin Carroll, a US prosthetist I met during the Paralympic Games in Beijing. Cameron Clapp's prosthetist. And Kevin, he invited me to BACA bilateral above-knee amputee boot camp. And that was an absolute incredible experience. And you know what? In the US, there's an established protocol to get bilaterals above-knee amputees up and walking again. So why aren't we talking more about that here at I.S.P.O? I get it. I've heard arguments. This patient group is an almost impossible case. But here's the thing. I have proven it possible. And countless of other BACA bilateral above-knee amputees, especially in the US, has proven it possible. We can do better. But we need to be willing to put the effort in. And later on, at this point in life, I had everything that I could wish for as an amputee. I had osseointegration on my short stumps, left leg, left arm, which was a game changer, absolutely. I also had a perfectly fitting socket on my right leg. I had the latest MPK knees. I had the latest high-end prosthetic feet from leading prosthetic manufacturers. And I remember walking on this trail with my fiancé, right by the ocean, here in lovely Sweden, but on the best coast. Oh, sorry, I mean the west coast. As I was walking, I suddenly stepped on a root sticking out from the gravel. And it completely caught me off guard. So I lost my balance, and down I went, straight into the dirt. And at that moment, I was so frustrated and angry on my prosthetics. Because I knew I had the best equipment available. Yet, still, it wasn't good enough, at least not for me. Still, I did not feel stable when walking on outdoor, uneven terrain. So, to make a long story short, at the university, with the help from prosthetists, material scientists, and many, many others, we together created a new prosthetic foot that improves ground compliance, gives better stability and balance, even on uneven terrain. And today, there are several prosthetic feet on the market focusing on this specific area. Same thing with quick adapters for prosthetics, which was the second product the company that I have founded has developed. Which brings me to my point. Competition is crucial. It drives innovation. It pushes our industry forward. If only 2 or 3 companies are developing prosthetic components, progress will stagnate due to the lack of competition. And in the long run, patient outcomes will suffer. And I know that is not what this industry wants. But I get it. It's comfortable to buy everything from the big ones. But I dare all of you out here, in your daily work, try something new. Make it a weekly routine and just see what happens. Do it for the sake of our industry and do it for the sake of the user. Thank you all for listening. You are all amazing.
I'd like to stay where you are. I'd like to introduce Niels Ford Tonnevad from IC2A to officially thank you and give you their prize. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you to you and all your colleagues in I.S.P.O for our warm and wonderful collaboration and for hosting the lecture. As president of I.S.P.O, sorry, of IC2A, sorry. You see I wear 2 badges, one for IC2A and one for I.S.P.O. It is my honor and privilege to give you, Christopher, the IC2A Inspirational Medal as a token of appreciation for your life and how you have overcome adversity and for the inspirational lecture you have just given us. Christopher, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Tack. No.
You go. Thank you. Let's just sit down. That's fine. That, I'm sure you'll agree, is quite an incredible journey and story. And we've had today really a real reminder of the differences between those of us who are lucky enough to live in a society that provide all the healthcare you require, cradle to grave. And I happen to be lucky enough to live in a country like that, even though it's creaking at the seams. And the other end of the scale that Ritu highlighted us, and that just shows you the importance of how I.S.P.O reaches out right across the globe. And the eye at the front of the International Society is so important. We're made up of people from all over the world, and it matters that we all talk to each other, share ideas, help each other, and collaborate. And that's been a huge part of what I.S.P.O's done and will continue to do for the future. So we have a tradition in I.S.P.O where the flag is handed over from the country that it was hosted at to the host country now, And as a collaboration this time with the North Sea countries, I'd like to introduce Eric Prinsen from the Netherlands, who's part of the organising committee, Steve Sikkum from the UK, Rune Nielsen, Norway, and David Rousseau, you've met, from Sweden. So this symbolizes the work that's gone into getting this thing ready. We have a World Congress Committee that meets every few months for years before the Congress, and David has led that with his team here and the other members of the committee to really get the local part of what has to go on to get a Congress to work like this going, and started and completed successfully. Thank you very much for achieving this. It's been amazing. Thank you. I have now a little bit of a boring bit where you have to do some housekeeping, and then I will let you all go and get a coffee or a cigarette and come and see the trade show. But before that, oh, the slides are moving. Can we just restart those? So you can download a Congress app, which I strongly suggest you do. You can photograph this now if you want, or just type in I.S.P.O to all good app stores, and you will download it, and you can actually create your own schedule on it once you've logged in, which is going to be really useful, I think, because there's so many things to see and listen to and do. Then we have, you can share your highlights, photographs with our social media, and there are all the links there that you might need for that. So we do want to see as much as we can from you all. We have a great team that will be able to share this out and take these in from you. And then we have to mark the midsummer in Sweden, we have a midsummer welcome reception today at 5:30 in the exhibition hall here. And we will be celebrating in true Swedish traditional style. Not that I know what that is, but I'm going to find out at 5:30. So if you could stay seated just for a few more minutes until the group of speakers and dance performers have passed your seat, and then you're welcome to follow us out to the exhibition, and I will escort the minister out to the show, and then she will no doubt need to go to another meeting. So thank you, everybody. We have one more dance, and then you can follow us out. Thank you.